What are some of the craziest statistics ever? 80-90 of smokers never get lung cancer. And 80-90 of lung cancer deaths are caused by smoking. There are more people living in the Tokyo metropolitan area than there are in the entire country of Canada. China used more cement in less than 3 years 2013 than the US did in the whole 20th century, mind blown. I read today that if you die from a plane crash, highly unlikely, it is most likely to be during the first 3 minutes or last 8 minutes of a flight. I'd imagine that no matter when the deadly crash happens, it will be during the last few seconds of the flight. Vatican City contains 5.8 popes per square mile. No other place has such a high population density. Over 60 of Canadians live south of Seattle. When tested by another agency, TSA failed to detect weapons, bombs, and other destructive materials 95 of the time. JFK has missed just one Detroit Lions playoff win, in 1991. Here's a mind-boggling statistic: cumulatively, over the entire existence of Earth, estimated in billions of years, the percentage of time during which humanity has existed is a mere minuscule 0.004. And here we are, in the 21st century, deciding to create memes and order pizza online. The number of possible ways to order a pack of 52 cards is 5252 factorial, which means multiplying 52 by 51 by 50. All the way down to 1. The number you get at the end is 8 times 10 67, 8 with 67 zeros after it, essentially meaning that a randomly shuffled deck has never been seen before and will never be seen again. Paul McCartney was 27 years old when the Beatles ended. More people own mobile phones than toothbrushes. Oh, also honey never spoils, honeybee. You're more likely to be killed on the drive to the airport than on the actual flight. There are about 1 million people in the air at any given moment. 60 of people with bipolar disorder are unemployed. 40 of all plastics produced each year are single-use. Only 9 of plastics get recycled after disposal. Something like 1/7 boys and 1/5 girls are molested before the age of 18. Most of them will never tell anyone for most of their life, if ever. It took me until I was an adult to accept that it happened to me even. More households in the US have dogs than children. Not sure if this counts, but if you have 2 legs, you have more legs than the average person. 61 of US bankruptcies are caused by medical debt. That feels like idiocracy in the making. The largest hydrogen bomb ever detonated, the Tsar bomb, had a yield of 57 megatons, which is equal to all the explosives used in World War II. Times 10. If the Three Gorges Dam ever failed, some 400 million people would be at risk from the insane flooding it would cause. The fastest moving human-made object is the Parker Solar Probe, with a maximum speed of 692,000 kilometers per hour or 430,000 miles per hour. Even at that speed, it would take about 6,500 years to get to Proxima Centauri. The bell curve of life expectancy shows that the first human who will live 150 years is alive right now. Women are, if I recall correctly, 85 more likely to be murdered when pregnant. The number of deaths caused by the smartphone while driving is 6x higher than those caused by drunk drivers. If every person shuffled a deck of cards every second since the beginning of time, the chances of any 2 decks being the same are 1 in a trillion. You have a 50-50 chance of getting away with murder in the US. If you made $7,000 an hour every day since the birth of Jesus Christ, you'd have made less money than Jeff Bezos. Being a Russian emperor was one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. 30.8 of rulers of the Russian Empire met a violent end. More of a fact: strawberries aren't berries, but bananas are. There are more lakes in Canada than anywhere else in the world combined. If Wayne Gretzky never scored a goal, he'd still be the all-time points leader for the NHL. The fastest player to 1,000 points is Wayne Gretzky in 424 games. The second fastest, Wayne Gretzky in 433 games. No other player has scored 2,000 career points. There are more Trump voters in California than in Texas. Global demographic statistics in general. Every time I learn of a new number, I'm amazed. Around 1.5 people die every second. In the same time period, around 4.6 people are born. So 3 people on Earth every second. There was this guy who was afraid of flying because there might be a bomb on board. He did a statistical analysis and the odds were low, but not low enough. He then did the analysis of the odds of having 2 bombs on board and he felt comfortable with those odds. So every time he traveled he took a bomb with him. Breaking your leg while downhill skiing almost always happens on the last run of the day. There are about 58,000 subway trains in China. There are more stars in the observable universe than there are grains of sand on all of the beaches of planet Earth. In 1997, Karl Malone scored 50 points in 13 straight games. Google Karl Malone 13 for more info. 2015, 500,000 baseball bats were sold in Russia. In that same year, only a dozen baseballs were sold. The chance of a woman meeting a man to date who is over 6 foot and making more than $100K salary is under 3, like 2.5 to be specific. Less than 1% if they're also white, with the above. 68.756 of statistics are made up on the spot. Wilt Chamberlain averaging 48.5 minutes played per game. Same season he averaged 50 pints, 27 rebounds. Obviously a different game back then, but the minutes played is crazy. More murders occur with blunt objects compared to guns. That coconuts kill more people than sharks do per year. The serial killer fruit. If India and China, who are first and second in population, had 1 billion people taken away, they would still be first and second. It is more dangerous to drive a car than to be under anesthesia. Around 30 ancestors ago, European cities were continuously ravaged by Vikings. Around 300 ancestors ago, humankind found its first city. The lower 57 of the US public don't even have $1,000 to cover an emergency. Freak show society. Wayne and Brent Gretzky hold the record for most combined points by brothers in the NHL with 2,861. Brent has 4 points. 100 of people that drink water will die. A million seconds from now is about 11 days from now. A billion seconds from now is about 32 years from now. Very difficult to comprehend. George W. Bush in his 2003 State of the Union provided billions for AIDS in Africa. He couldn't really publicize it for fear of his base voters not liking it, but it's been estimated the program he started has saved 25 million lives over the last 20 years. Edwin Moses, a 400 meters hurdler, won 122 consecutive races in a row between 1977 and 1987, setting the world record 4 times. Barry Bonds' stats are just insane. In 2004 alone, he was intentionally walked with the bases empty 41 times. He has more intentional walks than the entire franchise of the Tampa Bay Rays, who came into existence in 1998. Barry started in the majors in 1986. He has 688 intentional walks in his career. The next closest is Albert Pujols, with 292. In 2004, Bonds reached base 376 times. He officially had 373 at-bats. Walks do not count as abs. Divide the $32 trillion added to the U.S. national debt by the number of American person years since Reagan's inauguration and you get an amount equal to $50 per American per week. Imagine if that money had been going out to all the citizens rather than into the pockets of the rich in the form of taxes they no longer had to pay. There are more Lebanese people living in Brazil than Lebanon itself. Cleopatra lived closer in time to the moon landing than she did to the building of the Giza pyramids. There have been more than 400 school shootings in USA in the past decade. The second highest number is recorded by Mexico and is 1020. That 4 out of 3 people don't understand statistics. If you have ADHD, Therese, a 30 likelihood you're also autistic. If you're autistic, Therese, a 70 chance you're also ADHD. Based on which one you were diagnosed with first. Edit mixed up the order, sources and replies, smiley face, happy holidays, sorry I can't make time to fix more thoroughly. The average person has 1 ovary and 1 testicle. Wilt Chamberlain. That man had unreal numbers all around. Male death statistics from the beginning of puberty to the end. And male suicide statistics. 7. You are likely to get struck by lightning than winning a lottery. Wilt Chamberlain had a season where he averaged 48.5 minutes per game. There is 48 minutes in a regulation basketball game. Over his entire career he averaged 45.8 minutes per game. More people have walked on the moon than people have dunked in a WNBA game. The Pokémon anime has canonically had 100 on-screen deaths either shown directly or strongly alluded to. Ash Ketchum has been 6 of them. That means that 6 of all of the deaths shown in the Pokémon anime are the main character. 64 of all statistics are completely made up. 70 of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Taylor Swift's carbon emissions in comparison to an average person or even other celebrities. Edit to elaborate, Taylor Swift tends to fly non-public to get to most places such as to her boyfriend and in turn shoots out more tons of carbon in 3 months than most people could probably make in a year. Even compared to other celebrities who use a private plane or jet, they still don't compare to the sheer amount Taylor Swift causes. The number of school shootings per country. I'm 1/9 asking out trophy women. I married the 10th. The population of Earth is about 8 billion, while the number of chickens on Earth is around 25 billion. We're outnumbered by birds. That we even exist. What are the fucking chances? They've done studies, you know? 60 of the time, it works every time. The only 2 Super Bowls Tom Brady lost were to Eli Manning. The only 2 Super Bowls Eli Manning ever won were against Tom Brady. No matter how you say it, that shit sounds absolutely ridiculous.